Good morning and good evening, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you're tuning in from. If you are catching this live, please be sure to leave me your state, city, country that you're tuning in from. If you're watching the replay, please do the same. I would love to know where you are tuning in from. We've gotten a lot of news around people being laid off. And even prior to that, people have been laid off for a while now, both in large quantities and in one offs. And for many reasons that just run the whole gamut. But I know that here lately, we've been having excessive layoffs. And I was just wondering to myself last night, what can I do? What can I say as a certified career coach? What can I say as someone who is part of the National Career Development Association? What can I say to help people out there that are experiencing this major layoff and unexpected in many, many cases? And, a lot of times they're just trying to pivot and figure out what's next. And many of my clients that I've coached over the years that have been in that kind of situation, that what's next? I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this has happened. I don't know what to do. I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't see it coming. The what's next is the big question. So, as I'm thinking, years ago, when I was in Virginia, I worked for the local community college there as an adjunct, and I worked under workforce development and continuing education, and I loved it, and I still do it now. That's just one of the things that I do as an adjunct is I teach classes, I train people, I upskill them at the community college level. And it's for people that are trying to reskill, upskill, be a better professional in some form or fashion, and that's what I help them with. So when I was in Virginia, I did a lot of unique trainings that really gave me a lot of great experiences, let's say that. So I don't know if you remember the DC sniper, but he was taken to Virginia, and that's where, his life ended. But he was taken to a correctional facility called Boykin. And the Boykin facility had over 300 employees. All different types of people worked there. Of course, the warden, of course, you had the nurses, the the corrections officers, maintenance people, just a lot, administrators, just a lot of different types of people. And it was over 300 that were employed there. And it was a 24/7 facility, of course. So people worked all different shifts, and they closed it down. They were shutting it down. I see Legend the King 201. Hello to you. Good morning. And so they were shutting it down and closing it like everyone was losing their job. They told them, I believe, in January, and they were going to officially close by that April. And this was in 2012, I believe it was. And so what they did for the employees was provide rapid response training, and that was under the WARN Act. And the WARN Act is whenever you have over 100 employees that are losing their job all at once, as the employer, you're supposed to provide them with support, with resources so that they can understand what next can be for them. And so with the WARN Act, they partner typically with a community college or some type of training provider that can come in and provide that training. So for me, I was one of it was about three of us, and we each had our own time frames and days of the week. So for 2 weeks, for three different sessions, each session was 4 hours long. I had to accommodate all of the shifts that they had. I did soft skills and career readiness training for those 300 employees. And when I tell you, so many of them were so afraid. They had been working there for 27 years. And if you're a young person and you hear that someone worked in one place for 27 years, sometimes you may think, well, dang, that's old. You're late. That's a long time. What you still working for? You should stop anyway. But if they've been working since they have been in their 20s, they are probably still relatively young, maybe in their mid to late 40s or early 50s. And yeah, they may have the years to retire, but the age and the will to want to work, you know? And so they shouldn't have to be forced out because they've been working someplace for 27, 30 years. But unfortunately, for those that worked at that correctional facility, they were. And in the area that they were in, there was very limited things that they could do that their skills would transfer to. It wasn't like there were other correctional facilities around. It wasn't like, the police were hiring in large droves at that time. It was just a lot of challenges in terms of where. And so it was important for them to have that training because many of them hadn't even had an updated resume because they really believed they were going to retire at that facility. If you work in some place for 20 plus years, you might be in the mindset of this may not be my last professional stop, but it's going to be my last employment stop. And I'm just going to ride this wave and then, pivot after I retire from here. But when you're forced out, it's like, oh, wait, So they didn't have resumes and they had not been on interviews in almost as long as they've been there. So a lot of their skills were very rusty, if existent at all. And after, taking my courses, I also taught them how to develop their LinkedIn profile, how to even search for jobs. That's another thing. A lot of them didn't know where to go. Like at that time, 2012, it wasn't a lot out there to do it, but there were some sites that I was familiar with because I am a certified career coach that I was able to navigate them through. So another thing was taking a career interest assessment. Some of them had been doing what they were doing for 27 years, but that's just really wasn't what they had a huge interest in. It was just what was paying the bills. So we had them take a career interest assessment so they can see other careers that were more aligned with their interests, their experience, and their education. And their education doesn't have to be a post-secondary degree, but it could be certifications that they had, just a lot of things. So when I was hearing about the federal workers that had gotten laid off in droves, you know, fortunately or unfortunate, it's all unfortunate, but many of them were young in their career, but it was still a shock. That was a career that they felt they were going to do for the rest of their career. And, what they always say, last hire, first fire type of thing. But the unfortunate piece that I felt was that the WARN Act does not apply to them because it does not apply to people that are public servants, that work for the federal government. And when I saw that, I was just like, wow. However, there are some employers that have empathy, have compassion. And if they're going to do those large layoffs like that, they do provide resources, even if they don't fall under the WARN Act. They just do it out of just being compassionate because they understand this has been a shock. It came out of nowhere, but I'm not sure if that's what these federal workers are getting. And so I was like, let me come on here and just give a little bit of advice that hopefully they can receive and implement right away. So let's see. I see Robinson 1DU is here. Extreme Like Builds is in the building. Good morning to you. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you. And if you don't mind, tell me what city, state, country you are tuning in from. I would love to know where you're at. I'm in North Carolina right now. So, the first thing, it's a shock. Last week was huge. And I'm sure over the weekend you were thinking about, okay, what am I going to do now? First of all, I hope that your resume is up to date. No matter if you feel comfortable in your career, if you even have a business and you own it, you should always update your resume twice a year. Every 6 months, you need to update your resume. Make sure it speaks for the work that you can do and want to do. And even with that updated resume, whatever positions you apply for, whatever contracts you apply for, you want to make sure that your resume speaks to that particular contract or position. So you can have your perfect hand, professionally done resume, but you always have to tweak it, even within that 6 months, because your resume can't just look like just like a basic, you know, template. And I'm not saying that it's basic, but basically like a template that you're just sending out. Someone may have charged you $200 to $500 to do your resume, but that does not mean that you don't have to still tweak it for everything that you apply for. You absolutely do. You want the hiring managers, when they see your resume, when they see your application, to look at it and say, this person has everything that we need for this position, just about everything we need, because what they're reading, it speaks to what they need you to do. And that's when they invite you in for that interview. When people don't get interviews, I always say it's your resume. If you get an interview, I'm like, okay, it wasn't your resume got you that interview, but if they don't get the job, then it's your interview. So you need to make sure both are speaking for you, that both are tight, right, and professional and ready. So you want your resume to be updated. You don't want to have anything on there in terms of job experience, anything beyond 10 years. If you have extensive experience, then that means you need to have more of a functional resume where you can put on your professional highlights. And that's where you would list the key projects that you've worked on, even if they were 20 years ago. You will put down how much were they. You want to quantify your resume as much as possible, because what a lot of hiring managers are noticing is that people are just using Chat GPT for everything. And, every resume that Chat GPT or any other AI tool is spewing out, guess what? They're spewing out just about the same type of information for everyone with a similar background. So to make yourself stand out, to make your resume more specific to you, you definitely want to quantify as much as possible. How much budget did you handle? How much money did you save? How many people did you manage or supervise? How much time did you save? How many people did you work with when you did that collaboration? What was the end result of those projects? You want to quantify and be as specific as possible, because that will stand out more than just saying you've managed a large group of people in an IT department, because anyone can say that. But how many did you manage? And the next thing is, you want to be aligned with an association that's the same as your position, your occupation. There's a lot of different associations out there. They're a great way to network. A lot of things filter through them before they do the general public. Some of them may even have contacts for you. So if you are part of those associations, make sure you are networking effectively. You're connecting with people. You should be able to reach out to them right now and say, listen, I was part of that mass layoff. Do you know of anyone or anything or what's going on that you can connect me with? And maybe they don't know anything right now, but they can still connect you to people and set up, I call them career explorations, exploration conversations where you sit with that other person that they connected you with, and you get to know them, they get to know you, they see your value. So when something does come up, you will be top of the mind for them. That's increasing your social capital. Social capital is one of the things that is hindering a lot of people from moving forward, because they're like living their lives in a silo. They're not going out there and putting themselves out and mingling and connecting with the right people that's going to really help propel them professionally. And it's not about using them, it's about really making those genuine connections. That's so, so important. And one of the ways that you can do that, even if you're not part of an association, is through LinkedIn. Look at the companies, the organizations that you would like to be part of. See who are the main characters that are doing what you want to do, or the top players, and reach out to them on LinkedIn. Send them friend requests, inbox them, and say, listen, I would love to set up a one-on-one meeting with you just for, say, 15 to 20 minutes. Don't do an hour. That's way too long. Even if it turns out to be an hour, which 9 times out of 10 it will, never say it's going to be for an hour. Always say like 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes max. And, just to kind of get a feel for what's going on in the industry. Just, a short little note like that, and or ask, is there someone that they can direct you to? Is there someone that they can connect you to? And that is one of the ways that you can open the door. Attach your resume that is updated, right? And then see what happens, and just continue to follow up with them. But that is a great way. I get connections on LinkedIn all of the time, people that are reaching out. And when they do that, I always look at that as them taking the initiative, and I'm not going to not connect with them because they took the time to find me, first of all. And they really have some, I could tell they have some, really pressing questions that they may need support on. Or, I'm in the business of helping people, of serving people. So if someone is in need, then I am going to see what I can do. If I'm directing them to a resource, if I am that resource, if I'm sharing information with them, all of this is going to help them. And I'm hoping this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever you're watching this, that is helping you too. I see TWP Popcorn is in the building. What's popping with you? I hope you're having a good Monday. Look, today is Monday, and I want to help people step out on the right foot today. People that are pivoting, that are off balance right now because of the information that they receive, that they have been laid off, effective immediately, or effective if they got a date, just they're off balance. And this is one way to be in balance, is to take control over what you can control, which is how you're showing up. Make sure your posture is straight when you are speaking to people about possible opportunities. Not necessarily, because sometimes people will say, oh, I know someone that has this position or this opening or whatever, and you may go to it but realize they really don't. Do not let your posture go down because they don't have a position right now. A lot of times I've seen it, people's shoulders start to roll over, they start to tilt their head down, their face really starts to tell a story. Their disappointment really shows up. And when you do that in those moments, you're canceling yourself out for future opportunities. People that are talking to you, that are sharing with you, like, wow, I see you have all of these skills. I see you have all of this experience. You would be an asset. You would be of value. But unfortunately, and when you hear that but or that unfortunately, and you start to bend down, they see that. And when they see that, it almost puts a mark against you because you're not staying positive. You're not really even listening of what that but unfortunately could turn into at the end. That period hasn't come yet, and you never know where it might lead. And your posture being strong and positive could be something that they remember. And so when someone else has an opportunity, because listen, it's all about putting it out there in the atmosphere. That's what we used to call it back in the day, but now it's the algorithms. But remember back in the day, it was called putting what you need out in the atmosphere. But now, putting it out there, 9 times out of 10, before the week is over, that person will connect with someone that's looking for someone just like you. That's just how it works. It's a law of attraction. However, if your posture goes defeated, if it goes down, that's a sign that when things don't go right for you on the job, when things don't turn out for you on a project, when a collaboration may become more challenging, that you'll give up, that you'll be defeated. And no one wants that on their team. I'm telling you that right now. No one wants that energy on their team. So if they see you just in that basic introduction conversation being defeated already and nothing major has happened, they won't consider you because they'll remember that. And no one will recommend someone that is going to be defeated at the turn of something challenging, because that's their brand too. Anyone that recommends you to something, they are recommending you on the strength of themselves. And the people that receive you because of that recommendation, they're looking at you as being kindred spirits with that person. Oh, I know Sherri won't recommend someone that, is not about their business. Sherri's not going to recommend someone that is a slacker. And if you turn out to be that, then they're looking at me crazy. They're looking at you crazy. So people that recommend you are recommending you off the strength of their reputation. And so you have to remember that. And so posture yourself well in all occasions, throughout all things. I know things can be challenging, extremely hard, and you could feel like, oh, here we go. But don't let that here we go show up on your face, please. Keep your posture strong and straight, and that is going to take you a long way. When they see, like, wow, maybe I didn't have that opportunity, but she was so positive. She asked such great questions. He really showed up very professionally. We gotta find something. Trust. People go to their team meetings and they talk about encounters they've had with people, and they may remember you and say, you know what, I just met this young person, or I just met this person that has all these skills. And if it was a month earlier, we definitely will want them on our team. But I was wondering, do any of you know someone who needs someone like that? But if you have that defeated posture, that, "Oh, woe is me, here we go again" kind of attitude, your name won't even be mentioned in that next meeting. Why? They're not even, they're nexting you so quick. So always remain positive no matter what, because you don't know what is coming after that button. Unfortunately, it could be, but we don't have a position. However, I know someone who does, but you didn't let that however come out. So always be mindful. Can you let me know if you can hear me, please? Let me know if you can hear me. I just got a phone call that came in. Actually, I need to get ready to go because I have an event this morning and I'm meeting my team, and I gave them the time. It's nothing worse than giving your team the time to meet and you are running late. So I'm going to get ready to head out, but I guess I'm gonna have to have a part two maybe this evening. I'll come on and give you some more tips. So that's just the first part, all right, of how to move forward today is changing your attitude, posture yourself strong, and really think of yourself as an asset and not a liability. You have value. That thing happened to you. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. It's real. But don't let it define you. Don't let it keep you stuck. Don't let it make you not want to do anything or think it's going to happen. Don't worry about if it's going to happen again. It may. But you know what? If you don't have multiple streams of income right now because of this unexpected, now is the time to look around and figure out what other streams of income can you also have and make and develop, so that if it does happen again, you'll still be straight regardless. Do what you love. Find out what it is that you love to do and go for that. Listen, I don't have time, but this afternoon, hopefully, or maybe tomorrow morning at the latest, I will go into how you can find other things that maybe are those diamonds in the rough. You may not even know for yourself, like, dang, I got that job. I wasn't even sure if I could do it, or I did it all right, but I didn't really enjoy it anyway. So now what? What can I do that I really enjoy? So, and make money. People think because you do what you love, you're not making money. There's money out here to be made. I promise you. Oh, but keep hope alive, keep the faith, keep your head up, keep your posture straight, keep your face right, and it's gonna all work out. Oh my goodness, y'all. It just has to. It has to. And you have to believe that. You have to think in a more uplifting way. Know that this week is another week that you can get it right. This is another day. It's Monday. Get out there, make those connections. All right. Until we speak again, I want you all to stay safe. I am Coach Sherri.